Canto 2, Chapter 2, The Lord in the Heart. In the previous chapter, we saw the description of the meditation on the Virat Rupa. So, in the beginning of this chapter, we see that Shukadev Goswami mentions that Brahma recreated the universe by meditating on the Virat Rupa. In answer to the question, what should a dying person do? Some sages might recommend karma for attaining Swarga, as it is approved in the Vedas. So now Shukadeva Goswami begins to give his opinion about it. So Shukadeva Goswami says, the path of the Vedas, where one's intelligence is directed towards meaningless things like heaven, gives only temporary pleasures, like an enjoyment in a dream. Therefore, an intelligent person should endeavor only for the minimum necessities, that is, working to keep one's body and soul together. And what does it mean to say to live by minimum necessities? When we have the earth, where is the need for cot and beds? When we have one's own arms, where is the need for pillows? When there is palms of hand, where is the need of utensils? When there is skin of trees, there is the need for clothing. Are there no torn clothes on the roads? Don't the trees give charity? Have the rivers dried up? Are the mountain caves closed to reside in? Does the Lord not protect the surrendered? Then why flatter the proud and rich men? So like this, he begins to discourage the people who are following the path of karma. If one worships the super soul as the ultimate goal of life, Shukadeva Goswami then said that one's ignorance is destroyed and one can easily achieve liberation. So Shukadeva Goswami now continues to answer question 2 that was asked in the previous chapter about the bona fide Dharanashraya. He mentioned that the Virat Rupa is a Dharanashraya for a beginner or an attached yogi. And he has already described the Virat Rupa. Now he describes the form of the Paramatma, which is the Dharanashraya for an advanced or detached yogi. Dharana on Paramatma is much more superior than Dharana on the Virat Rupa. Now, how is the super soul present? So, the super soul, which is the Dharanashraya for the advanced detached yogi, is that the super soul resides in the region of the heart. The size of the super soul is 8 inches. He has 4 hands carrying Shankha Chakra Gada Padma. His mouth expresses happiness. His eyes are like lotus petals. Garments are yellowish like saffron of Kadamba, bedecked with jewels. His ornaments are made of gold, set with jewels. His head dress and earrings are glowing. The lotus feet on lotus hearts of the mystics, lies on the lotus hearts of the mystics. The chest is decorated with Kaustuba jewel engraved with the Srivatsa mark, and there are other jewels on his shoulders. His torso is garlanded with fresh flowers, the Vaijayanti Mala. There is an ornamental wreath around his face, around his waist, called as the Mekhala. His rings are studded with valuable jewels on his fingers. He's wearing leglets, bangles, and he has oiled hair curling with a bluish tint. His smiling face is very beautiful and very pleasing. All his pastime, smiling glances and shining eyebrows show mercy. So one should meditate on this form until the mind remains in a concentrated state. This is dharana. Then the yogi must perform dhyana by meditating on each limb one after the other, from the lotus feet gradually to his smiling face. By this, the intelligence is purified for the yogi. But if a person has not developed such devotional inclination towards the Lord, he should meditate on the Virat Rupa at the end of his prescribed duties. Now, yama to pratyahara, which are the different stages of yoga, should be performed. One should learn to merge his mind intelligence, the soul to the super soul, At that time, he attains the supreme satisfied stage of cessation of material life, where there is no influence of time, demigods, modes, false ego, material nature, and other things. Thus, the yogi realizes Brahman by avoiding all godless things and embracing the Lord's lotus feet at every moment. Having destroyed all subtle desires, he gives up everything and rises the life air through the anus, which is the Mooladhara chakra, the navel, which is the Swadhisthana, then Manipuraka chakras, the heart, Anahata chakra, throat, Vishuddhi chakra, and finally the point between the eyebrows, which is the Agnya chakra, and blocks the 7 holes. Then he pierces the Brahmarandra and attains liberation. So, having described the path of the Paramatma meditator in the previous verses, which gives direct liberation, Shukadev Goswami now describes the path of the Virat Rupa meditator, which actually only gives gradual liberation. It's also called as Karma Mukti. So, this attached yogi, the person who's aiming after Karma Mukti, that yogi, he still has desires to enjoy in Satyaloka or Brahma's Loka, and he wants to travel to outer space or enjoy some mystic powers. So, by Virat Rupa meditation, he will give up his gross body, but he will travel to higher planets in a subtle body, and this path is called as the Karma Mukti. Though he may enjoy, that is not the same enjoyment that we see in the Karmis. This enjoyment is different. Such a yogi who is a Virat Rupa meditator is endowed with knowledge, austerity, yoga, jnana, etc. So, he does not attain various planets due to his karma like the Karmis. But this is very, very different. So, the path of the yogi is that first stop is at Vaishvanara Yoga. This is the planet of the deity of fire. There he is cleansed of all desires. The second stop is the Sishumara constellation, which is the representation of the navel of Lord Vishnu, or the pivot for the turning of the universe. There he relates with Lord Hari. The third stop is Maharloka, where purified sages like Bhrigu, who live for one Mahakalpa, reside. Seeing the 3 worlds burning in the fire from the mouth of Ananta at the end of Brahma's life, these residents travel to Janaloka. Then the fourth stop of such a yogi is Brahmaloka, and there is, or Satyaloka, where there is no lamentation, old age, death, fear, all that, except one feels compassion for suffering of non-devotees. After reaching Brahmaloka, if the yogi desires to stay until the end of Brahma's life, he attains liberation at that time with Brahma. But however, if he desires liberation before that, he pierces the 7 coverings of the universe and he attains Brahman. Then he successfully passes through the layers of earth, water, fire, air and ether, and successfully surpasses the 5 senses, the sense objects and the sense organs. Then he pierces the layer of false ego, Mahatattva and Pradhan, and finally this yogi, he merges into the Supreme Brahman, the Adi Purusha or Mahavishnu, and doesn't return to the world. These 2 eternal paths were described by Krishna to Lord Brahma. So the 2 paths are, one is direct liberation attained by a Paramatma meditator, and the second one is the gradual liberation that is attained by a Virat Rupa meditator. So after describing the path of Ashtanga Yoga, which was the preferred path for some of the sages in the assembly, Shukadev Goswami, now he gave his own opinion about the path of attaining ultimate perfection as an answer to Parikshit's question about the duty of a dying man. So Shukadev Goswami said, the most auspicious path for those suffering in this material world is actually devotional service. This devotional service, it produces prema to the Lord. This path, which leads to attraction or rati, the first stage of prema for Lord Krishna, is actually the highest. And Lord Brahma determined this after scrutinizingly studying the Vedas 3 times. Because sadhana bhakti is the most auspicious path, one should practice it. Since the Lord is seen in all beings, one should hear about Him to realize Him. Therefore, it is essential that everyone should practice hearing, glorifying, and remembering the Lord always, at all time, everywhere. Tasmat sarvatmana rajan hari sarvatra sarvada shrotavyah kirtitavyascha smartavyo bhagavan nrinam. Because hearing, chanting and remembering are the chief items of bhakti, they are repeated several times throughout the chapter. However, the other items such as serving the lotus feet are also indicated, though explicitly not stated in this chapter. So the two main benefits of sadhana bhakti is one who drinks the nectarian message of Lord Krishna through oral reception first purify their polluted aim of life, which is material enjoyment, and therefore second they attain the Lord's lotus feet. That is the real aim of sadhana bhakti, is to attain the Lord's lotus feet. So this completes the summary of chapter 2 of canto 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna.